Happy October, everybody. Sensei Grizzly. We got Brother John here helping out with today's lesson. All right, so the question was asked that I demonstrate some of my favorite takedowns. So what I decided I wanted to show was a takedown that one of my Team USA teammates from the World All Styles Council World Championships in Portugal was using with great success in the knockdown modified MMA division. He was the first American to bring home the lightweight championship for that event, and that is Josh Hillman out of Akron, Ohio. So what Josh likes to do is when the bad guy fishes the underhook, Josh will bite down, comes under the neck as such, and he figure fours at his bicep this way. And the reason this is good is especially with no gi, when things get really slick and sweaty, okay, just your traditional single collar tie stuff with like the tricep grip, he's gonna whip out of that, slip out of that really easy. But when I bite down and I get this figure four, him getting his posture back and slipping away, especially if we've got a little bit of a rash guard on, is really hard to do. So what I'm doing here is, if you'll observe my right foot, I'm stepping through. I can do this way, or I can do between the legs. My personal preference is to step laterally, thus the name lateral drop. Okay, so I'm stepping laterally, turning in, rolling through, and then you can immediately go into the scarf hold position for like a Josh Barnett style scarf hold, or you can go for your various lot flows from this position. Real good bouncing off the fence to roll through. It's just high rate of success, high rate of success. Like I said, Josh was landing this like 3 or 4 times a match, and even though people were scouting him, they just couldn't stop the throw. So again, he bites down the lockup. He's going for a single tie around the neck, figure four at the bicep. Okay, so pretty much irregardless, as long as the bad guy is trying to circle to my right, his left, he puts himself in position. So this foot is going to sweep through, and that as I'm doing this, I'm already turning into the throw. And that generates all the centripetal force that rolls through into the scarf hold position. And then I've got a variety of finishes that I can start to flow through from the scarf hold position. One last time. Okay. Bad guy goes to the underhook. I bite down with the wizard. I figure four at my bicep, cradling here. Especially when he tries to pop his head up, I'm going to time with that movement to go into the lateral drop, stepping laterally across his body, rolling over my shoulder, and landing into the scarf hold position. So, I'm Sensei Grizzly, Brother John, and that is the Josh Hillman lateral drop as seen in the 2019 World All Styles Council Knockdown Championships. What's up, everybody? So, we did the World Games in Orlando, Florida a couple months ago. I want to give a shout out again to Shinto Fightwear for sponsoring the USA Alliance team. And I kind of want to show one of the things that they gave us is a warm-up jacket. As you can see, it's got the USA flag as the breast shield, and then the Team USA Alliance logo on the back. This thing is super cool. Like, when I first showed it to a lot of my teammates here locally at Octagon, they were really jealous and drooling all over this thing. So the outside is made out of the same, fabric that your geese are made out of, like the double weave cotton, and then it's lined on the inside. Even got like a little pocket for like your mouthpiece, to keep some of the stuff that you need. These things are super cool. Keep you nice and warm between matches, and it actually makes like a pretty good winter jacket. So again, mad props to Shinto Fightwear for sponsoring Team USA. You need to check their website out. They got a lot of cool stuff. Props to my brother from another mother, James O, and everything he's doing with Shinto. So something I wanted to kind of talk about was part 2 of one of the discussions we had last month, where I'd gotten the question sent in where people were asking about for a discussion of the organizational structure of your traditional line unit in the Army. We talked about fire teams, squads, platoons, companies, battalions, brigades, divisions, and commands. So what I wanted to kind of talk about is like the rank structure and how the different ranks in the Army correspond to this, because a lot of people really don't understand just the level of responsibility that some of these soldiers have, and they're just throwing certain ranks around. So starting from the bottom is your junior enlisted grades. That's private, private second class, private first class, and specialist E4. Okay, so these are considered junior enlisted grades. These soldiers have no responsibility other than to themselves and their particular job within the unit. So at that level of their military occupational specialty, okay, they're just responsible for learning that job and being essentially a private soldier. Okay, so sergeant, enlisted level 5, is the first rank where you have real responsibility outside of yourself. Your sergeants are in charge of 2 to 3 soldiers. They're the NCOs or non-commissioned officers that are in charge of the fire teams that make up the squads. To be a sergeant, you have to go to your what they call basic leader course and be a graduate after you've been boarded and selected for that rank. So the next rank after that is staff sergeant. As a staff sergeant in a traditional line unit, now you're in charge of a squad. So anywhere from 6 to 12, or even as many as 18 soldiers, junior enlisted soldiers. So a staff sergeant or squad leader will be in charge of 3 or 4 of your sergeant E5s, who are then in charge of their smaller fire teams. To be a staff sergeant, you have to be a graduate of Advanced Leaders Course, both Common Core, which every staff sergeant in the Army has to pass, as well as an occupational specialty specific school that pertains to whatever that individual's occupational specialty is. So the rank up beyond that is Sergeant First Class E7. Okay, so these are your platoon sergeants. So your platoon sergeant has to be a graduate of Senior Leaders Course, as well as all of the prerequisites, has about 4 squad leaders underneath him who are over the Sergeant E5s who are over the junior enlisted. The Sergeant First Class is not only in charge of maybe upwards as many as 60 soldiers, but this is the first time where a non-commissioned officer is paired with a commissioned officer counterpart. In this case, your platoon leader is your second lieutenant, or officer level 1. Your second lieutenants have to be graduates of either ROTC, officer candidacy school, or in certain cases they can be direct commissions based on whatever their specialization is. Okay, but having a bachelor's degree from college is mandatory. But because they are generally new to the Army, they are paired with a Sergeant First Class who's got at least 9 years of experience. So above this, on the enlisted side, is your first sergeant, okay, or enlisted grade 8. The enlisted grade 8, okay, is in charge of the company, which is made up of the platoons, which is made up of the squads, which is made up of the fire teams. So a first sergeant may be in charge of as many as 240 soldiers, depending on what kind of unit. The first sergeant is also paired with a first lieutenant, officer level 2, who's the executive officer of that company, as well as the company commander, which is a captain or officer grade 3. On the enlisted side from here, you have the command sergeant major or enlisted grade 9, who's in charge of a battalion. The battalion, of course, being made up of multiple companies, being made up of multiple platoons, made up of multiple squads, made up of multiple fire teams. So your battalions can have upwards to 1,000 soldiers possibly, depending on how many companies and what kind of battalion you're serving in. So the sergeant major is going to be paired with the battalion executive officer, who is a major officer grade 4, and a lieutenant colonel, who is an officer grade 5. And then beyond this, sergeant majors are given special duty assignment pay for every subsequent level of responsibility they go up, from brigade to division to command. And then that sergeant major is then paired with officers of increasing levels of rank depending on what command staff they're serving. Your brigade commanders are typically colonels, your division commanders are typically 1-star generals, and then your commands, okay, are your major generals, 2-star generals, and higher. So that's kind of a breakdown of how the rank structures progress in terms of level of responsibility. One of the things that I do want to emphasize is that every officer will always have a senior non-commissioned officer that's probably got more years in the Army as their counterpart to keep them advised of enlisted affairs. So that's part 2 of the question I was asked last month in regards to organizational structure within the Army. Sensei Grizzly, one final shout out to Shinto Fightwear, sponsoring us with these really awesome warm-up jackets. One more shout out to Josh Hillman, my teammate from Team USA at the World All Styles Championships in Portugal. Happy Halloween, everybody. See you next month.